And welcome back to Public Affairs on Peach. You know, there are a lot of tax preparers out there, so how do you know which one to go with? Well, Douglas Shaw is with Liberty Tax Service and has some advice. Make sure you're fully prepared. Thanks for being on the show.
Glad to be here.
And I see we have Miss Liberty over here to your side as well. Very familiar. I see you on the road every time I'm driving to and from work. Very good. So let's get started and tell me a little bit about what we need to do going into this tax season.
Okay, what you need to do going into this tax season is, first of all, be prepared. Okay, so make sure you come in with all your documents. Make sure that you have a firm understanding and grasp of things like driver's licenses, Social Security cards. Make sure you understand this year with the Affordable Care Act who had health care coverage the entire year in your household. But for the most part, come in, be serious, pick your preparer like you would your doctor. Make sure you check their credentials and make sure you understand that taxes are very serious, but make sure you have fun while you're doing it.
You know, when you said pick their credentials and check that, how does someone go about doing that?
Well, what you could do is go out to the Better Business Bureau and look up the business, see who the individuals are who are responsible, the contacts, and just look at what the ratings are. Like someone like myself being a CPA, you can actually look up our credentials on the Secretary of State to validate that I am a CPA.
I guess that's important because there can be fly-by-night tax preparers that maybe aren't official
correct.
CPAs or with a reputable company, right?
That's correct.
This is important to do, even though they may be offering you what seems to be a really great deal, or money back quickly and things like that. Because I know I see a lot of that. How do you know what to go with? I mean, a lot of tax preparing companies will have these deals out there that, hey, if you file with us, you can get so much money back right away. What is your thought about that?
Well, what I would say is that you want to pick your tax preparer the way you pick your doctor. Okay, first of all, get referrals. You want to know who you're dealing with, and you want to make sure they're reputable. Okay, in addition to that, like I say, look them up. Make sure they don't have any penalties against them or any negative reportings with any of the reporting agencies. But then also make sure they're knowledgeable. If you ask them questions and they can't answer it, then you have a problem there. You should probably get a second and third opinion and make sure you have somebody who's thorough in understanding tax law.
Let's talk quickly about itemized deductions. What should people know about that? Because it can get confusing for people.
Well, as far as itemized deductions are concerned, they haven't really changed versus last year. The biggest one is medical expenses. If you're below the age of 65 and you spent more than 10% of your income, you can actually write that off on your tax return. In addition to that, some of the simple hitters are like the mortgage interest, property taxes, principal mortgage insurance, your charitable donations to your church and to your to Goodwill and other types of charitable donations. Also, if you're an employee that spends a lot of money that you're not reimbursed for with your job, if you're a W-2 employee, you can oftentimes write it off also.
Yeah, that's a biggie. And knowing what you can write off, what you can't. I think people, do you feel like people, you miss the boat a lot in that area and could be writing things off that they're just not aware of? Maybe?
Yeah, it happens all the time. I mean, that's why folks come into us, because they're paying us for our expertise. And oftentimes I try to educate my tax customers to send them away more knowledgeable than when they came in so that they can make more prudent financial and tax decisions in the future. Yeah,
what's the advantage of going to a certified preparer like yourself or public accountant as opposed to trying to do this yourself?
Well, it's the credibility and also the knowledge of the tax code to make sure that you get back every dollar or you pay the least amount in taxes legally. And I stress that legally, so that you don't have to worry about getting audited later on by the IRS.
And if you're going to go to a preparer like yourself, what's the average cost to the consumer?
Ooh, it ranges. We actually do some tax returns for free, but we can spend anywhere from $75 to $400 or $500. It just depends on your situation and what goes into your tax return.
I got a big one here. People move a lot, so how do they handle an address change? Because I'm lost.
Got it. What a lot of customers don't understand is that when you file that last tax return, you've officially told the IRS what your new mailing address is. And if you move after that fact and you want to receive correspondence, you need to fill out a change of address form and send it to the IRS, and they'll update it, and they'll start sending all their IRS correspondence to your new address.
And what type of identification is acceptable when doing this?
What type of identification to send for the change of address form?
Well, no, just in general when you're filing.
Well, what we require, and it's a good idea, especially with identity fraud, we want to see a copy of your driver's license.
Okay.
We often make a copy of it, so anytime we're corresponding with you, we can make sure, just like when you go into a bank, In addition to that, bring your Social Security cards. We want to verify names with the driver's license and also make sure that the name and the Social Security numbers match up on the tax return.
So as far as the impact of Obamacare, I understand you could incur a penalty, right, if you're without health insurance in 2014, is that right?
That's correct. It's actually the Affordable Care Act, and if you did not have insurance, you're going to incur at least a 1% penalty on your tax return. But if you participate in the marketplace, you should have received the form 1095A, which is going to itemize what months you had insurance, how much you paid for it, what credits you received to help pay the premiums, and we use all that information to calculate the penalty for your tax return.
Douglas Shaw, Miss Liberty, thank you for being on the program. We appreciate your advice going into the tax season. Thanks so much. And stay with us. We'll be back right after this to wrap up this week's show.
Okay, thank you.